Hey guys, Sydney here. Today I want to give you some practical tips to practice being yourself. This goes out to my people pleasers that are trying to recover from being people pleasers. My first tip is to become familiar with what you like and what you don't like. This sounds pretty basic, but a lot of us people pleasers have lived our life trying to be neutral so that we can pair well with other people's likes and other people's dislikes. So an example of this would be pulling up a Google Images for the search, the color blue, and deciding out of all those shades of blue that Google pulls up for you, which shade do you like the most and which shade do you like the least? And it's okay if you don't do it right? We're just practicing. But that really helps you realize, hey, that vibes with me. Oh, that doesn't vibe with me. It's such a neutral thing. And a lot of times likes and dislikes are supposed to be neutral. Like as in it's not like right or wrong. So that helps you to get comfortable with that gray area of like and dislike. Another practice would be start making decisions even if it might be the wrong one. A lot of us people pleasers are perfectionists, so we're afraid of doing the wrong thing. So we have to feel safe about the idea that there is no right or wrong when making decisions a lot of times. An example of this could be deciding where to eat, deciding where to go run, right? Because you could run at the park or the gym. Deciding what show to watch. So like those are pretty low stake things, right? But realizing both are probably going to be good options for you, but which one do you want? Which one do you want more? My next tip would be start telling someone what you don't like when it calls for it. So to go back to the color example, if a friend comes to you and is like, hey, would you go with me to look at paint? I would like your opinion. So you go with her and she gives you 5 different colors and she's like, oh, I really like this one right here. What's your opinion on these colors? That color right there is the one you don't like. You really don't like it. So do you lie to her and say, I really like that one too? Or do you say, hey, I think that this color over here might be better for you in your room? Very different, right? One is, oh my gosh, I have to agree with her. And the other one is, I see what you're saying. What about this one? Another practice would be taking up space. Common sense, right? Oh, we all take up space, right? But us people pleasers, by default, we are not taking up space because we're trying to give you the space. So a practical way to practice this is the grocery store, the Walmart, the Target, the Aldi, whatever place you love going to. I am the person that pretends to be looking at the cookies when I really want the taco shells or the grapes or the strawberries, whatever it is. I don't want you to feel like I'm pushing you out of the way. So I will stand there and not do what I came to the store to do, which is get groceries for your sake. Y'all, it's as simple as saying, oh, hey, can I get that item real quick? And they're probably gonna look up from their phone, look up from their list, like they're not worried about you anyway. And they're like, oh yeah, you know? And so that's a really great example to do that, at least for me in my life. Also the gym, guys. Oh my goodness. This is something I literally, like I'm a gym rat. I work out all the time, but every time I'm around people working out, I have this like anxiety that happens. And so I have to literally say, oh, you know, I'm on this machine. I haven't been on this machine for an unreasonable amount of time, if it's the only one, right? And if there's lots of machines of the same kind, what's the point, you know? I can have my one machine when there's 10 of them anyway. I can use this machine. I I pay to be here. Gosh darn it. Just allowing people to see you do what you're doing, maybe judge you, but you are doing a thing. You are. Imagine that. So just taking up space, that's a big one, I think. It's been a healing thing for me to practice, for sure. So, okay. So practice doing something that you're embarrassed to do in front of other people. If you really like singing, start singing in the car at stoplights where Mr. Nosy Pants in the car next to you might be able to see you. And the point isn't to be seen, but the point is that you could be seen. And make sure it's songs you love, because you're trying to reinforce that it's okay to do things you love, regardless of who's around, regardless of what someone else might think. Another example of this is uploading YouTube videos. Maybe you love music and you start playing songs on your ukulele or your guitar or piano, whatever instrument you play, and you upload it to YouTube. You have no idea who's gonna see that. And of course, what I'm doing right now is literally that, just not with music. I really love ideas. I really love talking about perspectives and perspective. And I am putting that out for you guys to see. A lot of people, so many people, are never gonna see my videos, but some of y'all are. And I'm being vulnerable. And doing this has boosted my confidence. So I can't thank y'all enough for y'all that have watched, because you've helped me, genuinely helped me in so many ways, but that's one of the ways. Start asserting when you disagree with something. This kind of goes back to the point, right, about the paint colors. But this, I think this is a little bit higher stakes than like, I don't like that, right? It's kind of like, for example, a doctor. I had a situation like this recently where a doctor says, hey, you should do this. You don't do what the doctor says. You don't want to be that patient. You really don't. But you know your body, you know yourself, you've done research, you've looked at solid research, and it does not support what they are saying. And you say, I disagree with that. I'm a grown adult. I disagree with what this doctor who has an education, which is to be respected in every way. I disagree with them. I'm not going to do what they're saying. You have that agency. It can be your parents. When they think, oh, you might get a tattoo. I don't think you should get a tattoo. You're like, hey, I disagree. I disagree with that. I want to get a tattoo. So yeah, this is more like assertively saying, hey, that thing you're saying, I don't think that. So just practice doing that. It'll be good for you. It's like eating your vegetables, guys. It's hard. It's so hard. Realize how often you are thinking about what other people are thinking. Realizing this is the practice, because when you realize how often you're in other people's minds, you can bring yourself back to yourself every time. And that builds a lot of confidence to be in yourself. An example would be you're at work, right? And your boss walks by and you are immediately thinking, what are they thinking about me? Do they think I'm a bad worker? Do they think I'm a good worker? Do they think I deserve that raise? Do they think I will never deserve that raise? That's just like a moment of them passing you by and they've stolen you. You're with them now. And that's a waste, because you deserve to be present, doing what you're doing, to feel good about what you're doing, and not to be worried about what you're doing. Because when we are in someone else's head, what we think is someone else's head, you are not able to be where you are and do what you can do. You're taken up with high expectations oftentimes, and God made one you. You should be you. Not who Susie, Molly, Carly, whoever's head you're in. You shouldn't be them. You should be you. Be in your own head. Note what you like about yourself. This could be as simple as journaling, like saying, hey, I like that I smile a lot. I like that I'm quirky. I like that I'm quiet. I like that I'm sensitive. If you have no idea what you like about yourself, guys, that is very sad. And I guarantee that there is so much to like about yourself. But start to I think you could brainstorm what you like about yourself. That's what I'm trying to say, is you can start listing things you know that you are, and maybe you don't like those things, but you can maybe start journaling about why you don't like those things. And at the end of the day, after you've journaled, not all day, at the end of your journaling, you will learn, oh, this is why I don't like that about myself. That's not a good reason. Actually, that's actually kind of a good thing. If all that makes sense, guys. Note why your weirdness is not actually weird. A lot of times we have no sense of self because we have talked ourselves out of appreciating ourselves. We have this list of things that are, quote, unacceptable to people, and that makes us a waste of space. That makes us not worth being a person. And that's ridiculous, because if there's one thing that's true about people, it's that we always have a reason for why we do what we do. Always. And because of that, we can genuinely appreciate and respect other people, even if they're living some kind of life you don't agree with, right? Or think is valuable. You can always appreciate that there's a perspective behind it. So when it comes to you and your things you don't like, maybe what's something we don't like about ourselves, guys? I hate how awkward I am. I could be really awkward and just nervous, and I hate that about myself. And I'm sure I'm not the only one, right? But instead of hating myself for that, I can ask myself, why? Why am I awkward? Why am I nervous? And the truth for me is that, one, I am just a little awkward. There's a lot to love about that. But two, I have a lot of trauma around relationships and rejection. I have a lot of trauma around that. And that's valid. Goodness, wouldn't you be a little awkward and nervous too if you had that problem, which I'm sure a lot of you do. And part of it's because I have ADHD. I'm just a little out of focus, you guys. I'm a little scatterbrained. And none of that's bad, but I treat myself like that's bad. And that's wrong of me. And it's wrong of y'all. You gotta love yourselves. Start asking questions when things don't add up. An example of this could be, if you got a grade on a paper that the teacher didn't communicate that why the grade was what it was, and in this case I'm trying to say it's lower than you think it should be. Just ask them, hey, I saw the grade you gave me and I just had some questions about it. I just wanted to clarify why you gave me that grade. Or another example would be, you're at the pharmacy, medical things, lots of opportunities for clarifying things. Hey, this prescription was X amount of money last time I picked it up. What would be reasons why it would be more expensive right now? And usually they're so happy to look into it, oh yeah, let me help you with that. A phrase I've come to love so much when it comes to asking questions in this kind of way is, I just wanted to clarify. Everyone understands the desire to want clarity. I feel like it's a universal need. It's also very kind and humble. You're not saying, hey, this is wrong, this is stupid, like, how could you do this to me? I deserve that A+ teacher. Like, you're not saying any of that. You're just trying to understand what's going on. And people really appreciate that most of the time, or at least respect it. When someone doesn't like what you are doing, fight the urge to overthink what you're doing, if that makes sense. So an example would be, there's so many examples, oh my goodness. An example would be, you are cooking something, okay? This is a real example from my life, okay? You're cooking something, you're just in your zone, you know, you're maybe a little messy, but you know what you're doing. There's a person that comes in and they're like, why are you doing it like that? Like, shouldn't you be doing it like this? And you're like, hey, I mean, if you're sassy sometimes with people you trust, you're like, hey, I'm doing my thing, you know. But if you're not with someone you trust, I'm sure you're gonna say, oh, you know, I'm just, you know, you're gonna feel bad about what you're doing. And one, the person shouldn't be judging you in the first place. But secondly, there's no need to feel bad about how you're choosing to cook. There's no need. If you are cooking something that you've decided to cook, and if you are gonna clean up after yourself, what's the big deal, guys? I think a lot of times, you know, people really can't help us, you know, but people assert that at the wrong time. And I think oftentimes in this specific situation I'm talking about, it's really important to understand the person probably doesn't mean any harm. But also, just because they have good intention doesn't mean you need to change. That's a really great point for life, I'm learning. It's okay to simply have different perspectives, and no one's the enemy. I think a phrase, you know, that really goes well with this, like, tip is, this is what works for me. You're not trying to bypass what they're saying. You're listening to what they're saying. You're appreciating what they're saying, but you're also not going to change, right? Like, if you don't need to. And if it is a higher stakes kind of situation where you need to compromise, like you actually need to, I would say a good thing to say would be, I will think about what you said, and how we can compromise. So that's not saying you're gonna change. It's not saying you need to change. It's just saying, okay, yeah. So that's kind of all the tips I have. I really, really appreciate y'all if you got to this point in the video. I really, really appreciate you guys for wanting to work on yourselves and wanting to care about yourselves. And I really, really, really appreciate you guys for sticking with me and hearing my thoughts. I hope some of them were helpful to you. Overcoming people pleasing, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemies if I had enemies. But it's hard, guys. It's so hard. I always recommend counseling. I always recommend maybe coaching with a trauma-informed coach. I always recommend good community. So if you're a Christian, find a good church that you can really know people at. If you're not a Christian, find a good group of friends that like respect you and appreciate you and don't treat you like garbage. And take care of your basic health needs, right? Of course. But yes, so that's so important. But self-help has its place. And that's kind of what I was talking about today, right? All right, y'all. I really appreciate you. Have a good day, evening, night, whatever it might be. And I'll catch you guys later.